The first of 7 lies that virtually every narcissist will tell his victims is that he is your friend or she is your friend. Or if it's a romantic relationship, he or she will say, I love you. Now, a couple things you got to note here. Number one, they don't always say these things verbally. A lot of times they say them by their actions. They come across as being very friendly, as being very loving. But in reality, that's not what's going on at all. We've got 7 of these altogether, but when you get to the very end, and you're going to have to hear this, at the very end we got 2 more. Those are things that narcissists tell other people after they have discarded you, after they have totally abused you. So the first thing they want to do is win your trust. They want to win you over by becoming your friend or becoming your love interest. And number 2 is, again, they're saying you can trust me. And they want to present themselves as being very trustworthy. So they are very trustworthy at the very beginning. But it's all an act, it's all a play. They're just putting on. Got to be very careful when you deal with these people because they're so gifted, so good at this, and they've had lots of practice. I believe that narcissism virtually always is something that is innate. I mean, it's just genetic. They've got the narcissist DNA. Now, it could be that when they were little, when they were children growing up, they went through some traumatic experiences that inflamed their narcissism or justified it. So it becomes even more intense. But they do like to convince people, their victims, that they can be trusted. They understand relationships as give and take. Well, that's the way I understand relationships. I give and I take, and my friends or my love interest, and there's only one, by the way, we give and we take. Well, when the narcissist thinks give and take, he thinks you give and he takes, or she takes. That's what narcissism is all about. It's their way, all the time, every time. Number 3 is they want to tell you that you can depend on me. They like to present themselves as being extremely dependable. It's kind of like trust, except they want you to think that they got your back. If somebody comes after you and criticizes you or says something bad about you or takes advantage of you, they got your back. And sometimes they do. They will come to your defense, not because they care about you, not because they see some injustice, but because they're trying to keep you. They prize you as, it's kind of like you're a farm animal. And they've got this little corral in their mind, and you are in the corral. Okay, they got a coop of chickens, a chicken coop. And if the fox comes to eat the chickens, well, the narcissist doesn't care about the chickens, or the farmer doesn't care about the chickens as much as he cares about himself. I mean, those are his chickens. They lay eggs for him. They help supply his family. He sells those eggs and makes money. And if the fox comes in, nothing against the fox, not that he loves the chicken, but he loves himself, and so he's going to run off the fox. That's what we mean by the narcissist. I was going to say the farmer, but both of them saying, you can trust me. I got your back. You can depend on me. I will always be there. When the fox comes after you and some bad guy comes to hurt you, you can count on me. When I was putting my thoughts together for this presentation, what came to mind, oddly, that story about Hansel and Gretel, how they were taken in by the wicked witch. That's a pretty good story. Well, at least it was when I was 5 years old. But the story is that the witch had this, a gingerbread house or some kind of house, I don't know. But it was very, very attractive. And the children went in because, hey, look, candy, sugary food, or whatever they ate back in the day. And they were taken in by it. But once they got inside and once they were snared in the witch's trap, they found themselves in trouble. That is a good representation of what narcissism is all about and what it does to you. You don't figure it out till it's too late, and they're very good. Narcissists are very good at coming across as being your most prized friend, when in reality, You are their most prized possession, or one of them. You're just a chicken in the chicken coop. Number 4, the narcissist will tell you, and again, he may not say this or she may not say this verbatim, but they will communicate to you one way or the other as saying, you can be open with me. They love that. When you start telling your personal experiences and the things that you hate and people who have hurted you or hurt you rather, or people that maybe have helped you, and you talk about all these things, the narcissist, as we've mentioned again and again in other videos, he has or she has a database in her mind, and they keep all of these things in their reservoir of thoughts, their database. They're going to use those things against you at a later date. They want you to be open with you, but when they get into the smear campaign of the phase of your relationship, believe me, if there's anything bad that you said about anybody else, they will make sure that those other people that you were talking about hear about it. If you said something kind about other people, the narcissist has a knack of spinning that. So it sounds like you said something bad about them, even though you were complimenting them. And they will go to those people, and the person will say, yeah, I remember him saying that or her saying that. Number 5 is they want you to believe that they are so absolutely honest. They love to present themselves as being religious, or they love themselves as being a person in authority, or they love to, or having a past of a person in authority, or they love to present themselves as being something akin to a war hero. They have some backstory, which is usually either a flat-out lie, or it may have a grain of truth to it, but it's largely embellished. But they want you to think that they are really, really honest people. Yeah, you can trust me, I'm honest. When I grew up in the city, I grew up in Indianapolis, there was a place, I remember back in the 1950s, 1960s, and it was called Honest Bob's Used Cars. Even as a little kid, I could see through that. Why? If a guy's honest, he doesn't have to put up a big sign that says he's honest. Narcissists typically don't do that. They don't just flat out say, I'm an honest guy. But what they will do is they will try to convince you, when they go through this process of winning your trust, winning your friendship or your love, they want you to think that, this is a guy who's really honest and I can trust him. Here's what I suggest you do. Once you have that first inkling, and I mean the first inkling, don't wait on this, but when you first realize that maybe this is a grifter, maybe you're being scammed, maybe you're a victim of catfishing or whatever, sometimes it's not just on the internet, check public records. I mean, as far as I know, in every state, public records are free. And if you go on the internet, they've got these scams where you have to pay $25 to access public records. You don't have to pay that. Go to the state. Go to your county. Find out and just search the guy's name or her name. See if there are any public records. Now, you may be shocked. I've done that before, and well, first of all, I checked my own name, and I found out that, I don't have a perfect history. About 10 years ago, I got a traffic ticket. It's the only thing I could find, but, there it was in public records. But I searched other people who turned out to be narcissists, and they had troves. Dozens and dozens and dozens of records where they had been sued multiple times, where they had been prosecuted multiple times. So, yeah, honest. He's not being honest, or she is not being honest about being honest. And the only way you know that is you got to get the facts, and you can do that by, the contemporary term, the popular term for that is in vernacular, is doxing. Number 6, the lie that narcissists love to tell is that it's just one big misunderstanding. Let me explain to you what's going on. So number 6 is they say, look, and they may be talking to another person after you found them out, and they say, hey, this is just a big misunderstanding. Actually, I can explain this. So number 6 is they say it's a big misunderstanding. Number 7 is they say, I can explain, and they can. They can explain away almost everything. And the way they do that, are you paying attention? Because this is so vitally important. The way they do that is they flip the story. They take the truth and they invert it. They turn it exactly backwards. So they become the victim and you become the victimizer. They are the abused and you were the one who abused them. And I'm telling you, these guys are good liars. They can actually get that look on their face and the tone in their voice where they are so hurt. They're good at this because they've got, lots and lots of practice. I mean, it depends on how old they are, but some of the narcissists that I've encountered have been doing this for decades. And they've got a long list of victims in the background. They never talk about that. Of all the things they say, they very seldom mention their other victims. And if they do, it's always in a negative light. Oh, here's a tip while I'm thinking of it. If somebody trash talks others to you, just assume they are trash talking you to others. That is a dead giveaway that you may very well be dealing with a narcissist. So it's just a big misunderstanding, and they can explain, and the way they do that is they say it was all your fault. All right, now the last two, that's number 7, but the last two are lies that they tell, not to you, well maybe to you, but by and large to other people. Number 8 is this. They will say that you got problems. Talking about you, the victim, the person that they scammed, the person that they abused. You're the one with problems. Yeah, you're the guy who did it. Okay, the smear campaign has now begun in earnest. You have been discarded. Probably because you're no longer good supply and you found them out and you begin building boundaries and they are scared to death. They're terrified because you are going to take their mask and just rip it off so everybody will see who they truly are, and they can't deal with that. So what they do is they get busy recruiting as many flying monkeys as they possibly can. I've had people do this to me. In fact, they're still doing it. Every time they encounter anybody who they think that I may know, they make sure that they engage in a conversation that centers on me because they want the other person to think of me as the bad guy. Some people, they will say things like, they will accuse you of being maybe arrogant. That's like a catch-all accusation. He is so proud, he is so arrogant. Because everybody hates arrogant people, so right off the bat, and they believe them. They don't. I mean, some people have known me for years, and known you for years, and when the narcissist begins the smear campaign, they believe him, just right out of hand. Totally amazing. All right, so they say you're the one who got the problem. Now they take it a step further, and they will say this. They will say this, number 9, by the way, they will say that talking to their flying monkey or the person they're recruiting for a flying monkey and they're talking about you, they will say to these other people that they need to avoid you for their own good. They need to avoid you because you are dangerous. You will scam them. You will rip them off. Again, they're flipping the story, but why are they doing this? Well, a couple reasons is, number 1, they want to demonize you. It's just a way of getting supply, but more importantly, and this is the real clincher. The reason that they convince others, their flying monkeys, their potential narcissists by proxy, they want them to avoid you because if they don't, you're going to tell them the truth. So they don't want your friends talking to you rather. They don't want they don't want anybody talking to you because when you engage in conversation, you're going to show what's behind their mask. You're going to show them for what they really are. That, my friend, is why it's good to dox narcissists, because not all of them have public records. But it's fairly common because they have ripped off so many people in the past who have encountered many, many lawsuits or have been prosecuted. And stop and think about it. When somebody has been sued for a scam, most people don't bother to sue somebody. If it's unless it's a major problem. I never sued a narcissist, but I've had to deal with a lot of them. So if this guy has, for example, I don't know, a dozen or 2 dozen lawsuits, think of how many more people didn't bother to sue him or her. It's truly amazing. Now you see on your screen those 2 rectangles. If you're done with the conversation, thanks for stopping by. But if you want to keep on talking, just click on one of those rectangles and we will keep on going. And if not, well, then we will see you next time.